Hello everyone, this is Lala, and today I'm trying something very new where I am covering a book which is called The Big Brother Bible, which is the very first book that is about Big Brother. Apparently, it has content from over 100 players and producers. It talks about the historical context, past events, current events, and some behind the scenes stuff, as well as some on the screen stuff that I thought would be interesting to cover. So I'm going to go through the book. I don't know if I'm going to read it word by word and then I add my commentary here and there, or I'm just going to break it down into parts. So this is just something that I saw that I decided to do. So we are starting with chapter 1, which is called Thrift and Diligence. So we have a quote here from John DeMol, who is the founder of Endemol International, who essentially owns Big Brother, all the editions of Big Brother, and this quote was made in 1999. So it states, Big Brother will be for Endemol what Mickey Mouse is for Disney. We are working on something that is going to be huge. 20 years from now, they will talk about TV before Big Brother and TV after Big Brother. And as I'm recording this in 2024, so 25 years after the statement was made, I believe that he accomplished what he set out to do since Big Brother is one of the biggest reality TV shows worldwide with several different versions. It has lasted through 25 years where many other reality shows came and went, and it has no signs of slowing down. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's around for another 20 to 25 years. So that's the quote, and we're just going to move on to other stuff. It is September 1997. Four Dutch television producers are gathered in Hilversum, the media capital project of Netherlands. I didn't say that correctly. The media capital of Netherlands to brainstorm ideas for a new TV project. This isn't their first meeting, but it will prove to be their most lucrative. In attendance are John de Mol, Patrick Schulze, I'm probably going to screw up a lot of these names, and brothers Bart and Paul Romer. After several hours of pitching ideas, they land on one that sticks. What would it look like to lock up a small group of strangers and record them? By today's standards, this sounds very uninspired, but in 1997, the line between public and private was much starker than it is today. And I think that's an interesting element and idea that people tend to forget, especially when they watch older seasons and older versions of Big Brother compared to what it is today, where they really were not aware of what they were signing up for. And you can see that, especially with how raw they come across then compared to now. Anyways, the daily lives of the masses weren't yet being documented and broadcast over the internet, since internet was in its infancy around this time, so that makes sense. However, the Dutch team's idea did not emerge from thin air. Its origins come from past events. In 1991, 8 Americans embarked on an extraordinary mission to spend 2 years sealed inside a 40-acre research facility in the Arizona desert. The facility, with its modern white exterior and dozens of gleaming glass windows, stands starkly against its rugged mountaintop backdrop. Inside are several meticulously constructed biomes, a simulated ocean, a tropical forest, and a sprawling savanna grassland. This ambitious project is called Biosphere 2, and its purpose is to determine if an artificial ecosystem could someday be used to sustain human life in outer space. I feel like they've attempted to focus on this in movies and shows in the 90s and even the 80s, so the fact that it elevated into something like Big Brother today really isn't surprising, especially in hindsight. Unfortunately, the Biosphere 2 mission is plagued by controversy and becomes a media spectacle. According to the New York Times, the group split into factions, disagreed over scientific goals, and barely spoke to one another. It's easy to imagine the Dutch producers in Hilversum, fixated on developing the hottest new TV show, salivating at the prospect of broadcasting such an event for an audience that is growing more and more familiar with programs around real people and real stories, otherwise known as reality TV. So I didn't know that Big Brother was based off of this Biosphere 2 mission, and I guess it makes sense. And you can see how they tweaked it, where Biosphere 2 didn't really seem that isolated compared to Big Brother, location wise, since they had many different areas where they could speak, where obviously you're stuck in a house. And most of the time, they're stuck in the same room in Big Brother, so you have to speak to one another. Another topic discussed by the four Dutchmen is Jenny Cam. American teenager Jennifer Wrigley is making headlines by inviting strangers into her college dorm room. Every few minutes, live images from the blonde teen's webcam are uploaded on the internet for all to see. Content ranges from the mundane, like shots of Wrigley studying or brushing her teeth, to the more provocative instances of sex and masturbation. Intrigued by this new medium, or simply hoping to catch a glimpse of Jenny's tits, millions of viewers tune in regularly. So I guess the webcam version of outsiders looking into this insular area was added for Big Brother. So the four producers end their meeting after midnight, ready to bring in an idea to life that will blend elements of Biosphere 2 and Jennycam while building on both in new and innovative ways. A placeholder name, Project X, is assigned until the concept can be fleshed out. It will take Thrift and Diligence of, I'm going to screw this up, I'm going to attempt to say it out of respect, Zwingseed met Vricht, as they say in the Netherlands. The leader of the pack, John de Mol, comes from a public family. His father was a distinguished musician known as the Dutch Sinatra, who also served as the managing director for a commercial radio station. It's at this radio station where teenage John de Mol gets his first job as an audio technician. He takes an early interest in the entertainment industry and quickly establishes his own production company. One of his first business dealings is with American singer-songwriter John Denver, from whom DeMol purchases the broadcast rights for a concert in Amsterdam. This is the late 70s, where the Take Me Home Country Road singer is at the height of his success. In austere presence, DeMol could pass for a mob boss with his often expressionless demeanor, piercing blue eyes, and thick, parted auburn hair. His outfit of choice is a blazer, atop a particularly unbuttoned dress shirt, enough to expose a small amount of his chest. A frequent smoker, he is known to light up during meetings, and his penchant for beautiful women has been amply rumored. Early in his career, DeMol sees value in format television shows that transcend linguistic and cultural barriers to be replicated and sold around the world. In the early 80s, he acquires Dutch broadcast rights for American properties like Family Feud and Wheel of Fortune. These programs are remunerative for his company, but they belong to Mark Goodson and Merv Griffin, respectively, who each built empires out of the successful entertainment formats. John needs a hit of his own, and he's going to join this elite club, or if he's going to join this elite club, and that is his ultimate ambition. The international format trade dates back to the 1950s, when an American game show, What's My Line, is sold to the BBC in England. In the 1960s, Candid Camera and GE College Bowl are also sold to Britain. It is not until the 1970s when the US begins to actively import formats. Notable imports include CBS's All in Family, NBC's Sanford and Son, and ABC's Three Company, all adapted from popular British sitcoms. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the mall ventures into myriad genres, spanning wholesome children's programming and lively talk shows to spunky sitcoms and gripping dramas. Yet, it's a foray into contests and quiz shows that put him on the map across Europe. Love Letters is one of his earliest formats to achieve international attention. The show sees real couples vying for a honeymoon vacation and the opportunity to perform their nuptials on TV. Beyond the Netherlands, it will become one of Germany's hottest shows of the 90s. However, it isn't big enough to break into the United States, the most lucrative media market in the world. So this explains why so many production companies, networks, record labels, actors, singers and writers are so focused on getting into the US market, even if they aren't American and they are from international markets or they're born in countries or even continents outside of the US, since they make the most money and essentially it's seen that the US drives pop culture, essentially. In fact, by the early 90s, Demal is unable to secure meetings with senior executives at any of the major networks, but a request from a local Dutch broadcaster will soon set him on course. Demal's production company rebrands as Endemol in 1994 following a merger with another Dutch creator. In 1997, a local broadcaster turns to Endemol to fulfill its programming needs. This is a pretext for that September brainstorming session where four producers muse what it would look like to lock up a small group of strangers and record them. To test the idea, Paul Romer herds his colleagues into a small office. He shuts the door and turns on his camcorder. He verbally guides them through a series of hypotheticals, posing questions like, "What would you do if your roommate refused to clean the toilet?" This process gleans positive results. It isn't long before his colleagues grate on each other's nerves and begin to show real emotion. Romer is a bespectacled man with a horseshoe-style cut. His father, Piet, was a famous Dutch actor. Before joining Endemol, Romer oversaw Jongbloed and Jutsin, the highest-rated talk show in the Netherlands. He is hired by Endemol in 1995, and by fall 1997, he's charged with tackling the logistics of Project X. So here's where it came back up. This will consume the next 2 years of his life. So 1997 to 1999. Makes sense, especially if we're following the timeline of what we, or the common fan, knows. This will, okay, I read that part already. Cost, ethics, technological requirement, and public interest are among the many considerations to be sorted. If the mall is the brawn behind Project X, Romer is the brain. A detailed premise is quickly devised. The show will be called The Golden Cage. Six strangers will spend 1 year living in a luxury house without any public contact. Producers will routinely hatch menacing plots to make life as unbearable for the contestants as possible. So even from the jump, this of producer meddling. Well, that's their intention at least. The last person standing will claim a top prize of 1 million Dutch guilders, which is equivalent to $500,000 in US money. However, the show's price tag is a major barrier. The Golden Cage will approximately cost 19.5 million in US dollars to produce. This includes set construction, high-tech recording equipment, casting, and crew needed to work around the clock. For a Dutch production in the 90s, this is an astronomical sum, but De Mol is determined to make it happen. While researching the ethics of the Golden Cage, Romer consults professionals with experience in confinement. He talks to a submarine captain, NASA astronaut, the leader of a Northern Pole expedition, and a Dutchman who led a team of Mount Everest. He is advised that 1 year of confinement could cause lasting psychological trauma to contestants. As a result, it's decided to reduce filming from 1 year to 3 months, which, as we all know, is the average length of a Big Brother season. So that change really did a lot. And even still, we've heard many alumni talk about being in that environment for 3 months does a lot of psychological damage that it takes them a while or sometimes never recover from. This is the first of two amendments that will make the show more affordable to produce. The second change comes after after a key pillar of the format is abandoned. Roma realizes that making life unbearable inside the coding cage won't work, though, as we all know from the show, they have put elements of that back into the show, so yeah. He contends that it's extremely easy, too easy to chase away participants. The real challenge, he learns, is keeping them inside the house long enough to film the series. Going forward, there'll be minimal production intervention, which we all know is a bunch of BS. The show will instead focus on the interpersonal relations of contestants and whether they can come together as a community in an isolated environment. The, char- the title is changed from The Golden Cage to Big Brother, a phrase made famous by George Orwell's dystopian fantasy novel 1984, in which a surveillance state reigns supreme. The living environment is downgraded from luxurious to Spartan, and the prize money is reduced by three-quarters. Together, these changes lower production cost to around 9 million in US dollars. But even at the new price tag, it is a hard sell. Big Brother amounts to 30% of the Dutch broadcaster's annual operating budget, so you can see how this would be a problem. To assuage the lineage or the lingering monetary concerns, the mall offers to put up half the cash himself. Therefore, if the show incurs a deficit, he shares in that deficit. Conversely, if the show receives a surplus, he will share in that just the same. This is an unusual arrangement, but it works. 2 years after the initial brainstorming session in Hilversum, Big Brother receives a premiere date of September 19th, 1999. To stimulate public interest, the winner will be announced on December 31st, 2000, ushering in the new millennium. The stakes are high and the countdown to showtime is on. Publicity begins to build prior to the premiere when ethical concerns are raised about the format. The Netherlands Institute of Psychologists Psychologists, the largest professional association of its kind in the country, declares the idea irresponsible and unethical, implying the show may lead to suicide or self-harm. Big Brother quickly becomes a hot topic across the country. Martijan Radjiver, hopefully I said that correctly, a junior producer at the time, recalls avoiding social outings prior to the launch, growing tired of defending his appointment to peers. So it's interesting how controversial this was, though in hindsight it definitely makes sense. For DeMol, however, this isn't his first controversy, nor will it be his last. Glücksritter, which airs from 1986 to 1987, garners considerable negative press. This is Endemol's attempt to compete with the immensely popular Wittendash, a German program showcasing ordinary people with extraordinary talents. Endemol's rendition is much more provocative and features stunts like a woman bending a fork between her butt cheeks and a rectal trombonist. What the F is that? Oh gosh. Farting to classic music. The show is viewed as crass and distasteful and does not take off as hoped. It ends after only 11 episodes, and rightfully so, in my opinion. Just that description sounds beyond horrendous. In another Endemol series, All You Need Is Love, participants are encouraged to express affection for someone of their choice through the video message. The intended recipients are then surprised and confronted with the videos. Concerns have since been raised about the show's approach, with some feeling that it may have crossed the line into enabling harassment and stalking. And mm, we've heard some of these complaints about Big Brother from alumni. This is especially true in cases where participants use the program to get in touch with former romantic partners. Yikes. Like them all, Paul Romer has not been without his share of controversy either. During his time working on Jung Bloyd and Jutzin, a segment stirs up a storm. The host conducts an exclusive interview with the husband of Her Excellency, Hanja Maj Regan, a Dutch cabinet minister. The husband's behavior is incredibly abnormal, claiming to spend his days locked inside the house, ironing and cooking for his wife. The segment becomes a national news story. The plot thickens when it's eventually revealed the man in question was actually an actor, and the entire segment was staged by Romer and his team. This sparked criticism from the government, including from the esteemed minister. Romer reflects on this incident, acknowledging that while it stirred up controversy, it pales in comparison to what's to come with Big Brother. Big Brother receives a chilly reception in the Netherlands and scores low ratings in its first 3 weeks. This sparks discussion between Dimmel and the broadcaster about pulling the plug on the series. But two contestants, romantic duo Bart and Sabine, come to the rescue. Nominated for banishment and realizing that their time together is coming to their end, they consummate their young love in front of the household cameras. This results in a spectacle of separating the two lovers, and the salaciousness of sex on TV injects heightened energy into the show. Big Brother again becomes the talk of the country. Discontent about the show's ethics morphs into national intrigue. And it's very interesting that something very similar happened with Big Brother 4, where, as we know, Amanda and David have sex in the house. They're the first people to ever do this in the American version, and it caused quite a stir. And as we all know, that season is the highest rated season, not including Big Brother 1. So, controversy and sex does sell. Martijan Radgiver recalls a palpable shift in public opinion towards the show. Initially feeling a need to retreat amid the contentious debate, Pierce began seeking him out. All of a sudden, I became an interesting person to talk to, he remembers, following Bart and Sabine's love affair. Eager viewers flock to the set just to be close to the contestants. Some go to the extreme lengths to inject themselves into the show by stuffing tennis balls with handwritten notes and launching them into a backyard, or the backyard. A more dramatic instance sees a local TV host trying to parachute on the set. In response to these incidents, additional layers of fencing are installed and the compound is forfeited with full-time security and guard dogs. Radgiver reflects that it's these increased security measures that stands out as the most tangible representation of the show's impact and swelling popularity across the country. The season finale will garner a whopping 53.6% share of Dutch views. A share in this percentage of TV playing a particular show in a particular country at a particular time. The series becomes the most watched broadcast of the year in the Netherlands, behind only the breaking news of war in Kosovo. De Mol and his team quickly began to wonder if the success could be replicated elsewhere in the world. It isn't long before that question will be put to the test. The Big Brother format is sold to German, Spanish, and British broadcasters, and a bidding war is heating up in America. Shortly before Big Brother's launch in the Netherlands, Demal was already making headway into the American market. Another of his formats, the Sound Mix Show, a singing talent competition, catches the attention of executives at Disney. The series is rebranded as Your Big Break and enters US syndication in the fall of 1999. This transaction is facilitated by Endemal's US agent, Mark Etkin, a respected Hollywood power broker who is well positioned to find an American home for the company's newest hit, Big Brother. Etkin, originally a music industry lawyer, changed his career paths in the early 80s to pursue his passion for television. Etkin has a deep and distinct voice, compact and solidly built. He possesses an intensity that demands attention. As an agent, he's the bridge between TV creators like Endemol and distributors like cable and broadcast networks. He strategically packages television programming and negotiates the sale. While working at the famed William Morris Agency, he develops its daytime department, specializing in game shows, talk shows, sports, and magazine shows. Itkin is an early adopter of overseas reality formats. He introduces the first international daily strip to American audiences. A daily strip is a program that airs every weekday. It's a British game show called Sweethearts, which airs from 1988 to 1989 and is hosted by Tony Award winning Broadway actor Charles Nelson Riley. Another early international format he represents is Bob's Full House. This quiz show originates also in Britain and is rebranded as Trump Card. It airs from 1990 to 1991 and is broadcast from the future present Atlantic City Hotel and Casino. The NATP Market at Codford is held in late January 2000 at the New Orleans Hilton overlooking the Mississippi River. This annual event brings together media buyers and sellers from around the globe, drawing nearly 18,000 participants eager to explore new opportunities and forge lucrative deals. Among the songs of industry insiders, a sprinkling of celebrities add an extra dash of glamour to the convention floor. Peter Boyle and Doris Roberts lends their presence to promote Everybody Loves Raymond, while Vanna White dazzles on the behalf of Wheels of Fortune. Itkin has arranged meetings between Endemol and network bosses from ABC, CBS, and Fox. It's by good fortune any of these companies are in the running at all. Cable executive Stephen Chow, developer of Cops and co-creator of America's Most Wanted, had recognized Big Brother's potential early on and spent 5 days in the Netherlands with John de Mol in an attempt to obtain the rights. I thought Big Brother was very compelling, he says. I started bidding a lot of money on the behalf of the USA Network. Unfortunately for Chow, his cable offers, or coffers, it says coffers, but I'm pretty sure it meant offers, cannot compete with the deeper pockets of his broadcast competitors. He is quickly dismissed. The hot negotiations for the U.S. rights to Big Brother is part of the larger trend that started a few months earlier upon the successful launch of ABC's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Hosted by the legendary Regis Philbin, this imported quiz show premieres in the summer of 1999 and draws a remarkable average of 28.7 million views per episode. This is extraordinary for two reasons. One, summertime was traditionally regarded as TV's rerun season, and two, game shows hadn't been popular since the 1950s. Millionaire success dramatically bucks both of these conventions and creates an opening for more experimental programming, like Big Brother, to shine through. It's interesting hearing all this and reading this historical context regarding game shows not really being popular after the 50s and its revival in the 2000s, and how summer has always been dead, period, in television due to people being outside and living their lives, so they aired a lot of reruns. While I knew a bit about summer being dead period in television, I didn't know they consistently aired reruns, which I guess makes sense now. Big Brother is not the only format up for grabs right now. There's Boot Camp, where ordinary folks undergo marine training and face off in military themed challenges. The Mall, a competition where one team member is a secret saboteur, and Making the Band, which follows the journey of a boy band and its aspirations for fame. Even in Hollywood, actors Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are in the format fold, acquiring programming for their joint production company like The Runner. featuring two teams in a nationwide chase and Project Greenlight, showcasing aspiring screenwriters breaking into the industry. This is just a taste of the formats circulating in the early 2000s. John DeMol, sitting on a decade's worth of imaginary, off-the-wall reality concepts, is caught in a storm that will make him a very rich man. Years before Millionaire, there was another shift to the US television landscape. Rupert Murdoch's nascent Fox Broadcasting Company set its sights on carving out a distinct identity, daring to air edgy and provocative programming that stands in contrast to the more conventional offerings of its network competitors. The network establishes Fox Lab in the early 90s, a pioneering unit dedicated to developing original reality programming. One of its most notable creations is Cops, a groundbreaking series that shadows law enforcement as they carry out routine operations. In 1995, the network broadcasts Alien Autopsy, a sensational special claiming to reveal the dissection of a non-human life form, a move that sparks widespread fascination and debate. Subscription-based cable channels, not bound to the same regulatory scrutiny as broadcast networks, are also exercising increasing creative flair. In 1992, MTV debuts The Real World, a groundbreaking reality series that follows a diverse group of young people and tackles touchy subjects like abortion, LGBTQ plus issues, and racism. In 1997, Comedy Central enters the fray with South Park, an animated program that pushes the envelope on profanity with its foul-mouthed cartoon characters. With Fox's energetic new programming, Cable's growing stranglehold on younger viewers, and now the success of a game show on network television, the TV landscape is changing rapidly. If the reality pot was simmering throughout the 90s, the new millennium will bring it to a fast boil. By 2000, Leslie R. Moonves is the boss at CBS. He's an actor by trade whose work includes episodic roles in TV series like Barbary Coast starring William Shatner. He eventually changes career paths in the early 80s, entering the organizational side of the network television, or of network television. Mr. Moonves, like them all, is regarded as a shrewd deal maker. While at NatP, Moonves proposes 22 million for the rights to Big Brother. He isn't overly familiar with the format, but his friend, Harry E. Sloan, founder of Scandinavian Broadcasting Systems, conveys him to its intense popularity in Europe. Moonves' bid, however, is less about securing Big Brother than it is about taking the show away from its rival networks. His goal was to lock up Big Brother so no one could ride the publicity we were already getting for Survivor. Recalls Gen Maynard, the executive responsible for convincing movers to take a chance on competitive reality programming. Okay, so here's my commentary. Stuff like this happens so much in the business, not only just in the television business, but in the music industry as well. They will sign artists, they will sign products, they'll sign writers, they'll sign property, not so they could air it, but so they can kill the competition, since they want their main product to sell. And in order to not have a competing product on another label or another studio, creating something that is similar to but has enough distinguishability to thrive, they buy the rights and put it on the shelf or in the vault. So it's interesting that this was Movies' initial idea or initial motivations with Big Brother. Anyways, back to the book. Maynard is a man with a solid build, combining features from both his American father and Japanese mother. Oh, so he's Asian. Okay, interesting. He carries himself with a serious poise, evoking an almost scholarly presence. After graduating from Harvard, Maynard spent 4 years working for a textbook publisher, which isn't particularly motivating for him. Every weekend, I was buying Weekly Variety, he says, referring to the TV trade publication. I was never buying Publishers Weekly. Maynard soon moves to Hollywood and begins working as an assistant at CBS. This is where he meets his mentor, Anita W. Addison, the first black woman to hold a senior executive position at a major television network. Addison promotes Maynard to the junior executive ranks, where he will be introduced to movies. Maynard is in the drama division, where he first hears about Survivor. Junior executives at rival networks have their own offices, but at CBS they work in cubicles. A downgrade Maynard comes to appreciate. One day, an assistant takes a call from Conrad Riggs, English producer Mark Burnett's manager, who's having a difficult time selling Survivor in the United States. The assistant, seated next to Maynard, hands him the phone. I heard the pitch and immediately thought this could be huge. Maynard pushes Moonves to secure the format. Survivor will feature 16 Americans marooned on an island in the South China Sea. This will be the first major competitive reality show to air on U.S. network television. Moonves doesn't want anyone to steal his thunder, which is why he aggressively pursues Big Brother, making a special trip to NatP with his second in command, Nancy Tellem, to seal the deal themselves. Privately, Endemol executives favor CBS as they view the network to be the most family friendly. CBS attracts the oldest audience amongst its competitors, making it a natural place for controversial programming if you want to make a splash. Very interesting. By now, Endemol sees controversy as a key ingredient for success. Remember this for as we go through the years. Following the domestic debacle with the Netherlands Institute of Psychologists, Endemol faces mounting pressure in Germany, where there are again calls to ban the series. Political leaders draw parallels between the format and surveillance by Nazi regimes. Yikes. Demol travels to Los Angeles in February of 2000. He stays at the Four Seasons, Beverly, Wilshire, and made famous by the 1990 film Pretty Woman. He is greeted to a sea of flowers in his suite and is scheduled to do the national press circuit. For a man once rejected by American media, this is a major accomplishment. I feel like the little country boy in the big city for the first time, he says at a press conference alongside Movies. Demal departs with a formal contract. His brainchild will air in 5 months in the world's biggest media market. Movies too is thrilled. He won the battle for the rights to Big Brother, giving him a companion series for the highly anticipated Survivor. Unbeknownst to him, however, a war is brewing. In his pursuit to lock up the show from rival networks, Moonves relinquishes critical elements of Big Brother's production to Endemol. The Dutch retain control over virtually everything, from set designs and competitions to story editing and casting. A European company will have its signature on over 50 hours of American primetime programming. But those are problems for another day. Ratings from the German and Spanish productions are in. Just like in the Netherlands, the show is a massive success. In Germany, the series reaches half of all television watchers and triples the network's viewership. The Spanish series is even more popular. Gran Hermano naps a 70% share of viewership. These numbers reaffirm CBS beliefs that it has a smash on its hands. Surely success in three separate, culturally distinct countries is not by coincidence. Big Brother is tried and tested. The format works.